Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today's video I want to share my new custom binds with 4 paddles. So finally I have made the switch from 3 paddles to 4 paddles. And the main reason I did that is because as a content creator I have to stay up to date with the competitive level that I'm at, and doing so allows me to keep making content and helping you guys improve yourself. So I had to get up to date with all the new stuff. And so adding this 4th paddle is going to allow me to do just that. It's also going to match me on the same level as claw players and almost the same level as PC players, except for the fact that you don't have the accuracy ability that a PC player has. But other than accuracy, everything else in terms of binds and mechanics is all up to date with PC. But the reason that I can call it the best is because I've put logic behind all my binds. If you think about the controller and the way that it's set up, this is a very easy way for me to explain it. Look at the bottom right of my screen, right? To go to the right in my inventory, I hit the RB. Naturally, this is assigned to your right hand, right? Your right hand will be hitting this, and so it makes sense if you want to go to the right, then your right hand needs to do something. At the same time, if you want to go to the left, your left hand does something. I don't know exactly what this is called, but this is something that all games try to capitalize on, and it's basically just making the binds feel more natural. Like imagine if I had my RB go to the left, like it just wouldn't make any sense. So you gotta make your binds make sense, and that's exactly what I've done for you today. So before we get into the actual binds, I think it's really important for me to go over my Elite controller real quick, just very briefly, and show you kind of the logic behind this and what I'm rocking. So the goal that I had with mapping my paddles was to make the feeling as natural as possible to press them. And so real quick, this is a picture of how I hold the controller. As you can see, my pinky kind of supports everything at the bottom. And then you can see that if you only use the bottom paddles, then above those 2 paddles, you can have your middle finger support the other side of the paddles, right? So this gives you the most support that you can ever have. And it's a very comfortable feeling and a very comfortable way to start using paddles. And so if you are starting with 2, I would recommend using the lower 2 paddles. Now the reason I have my A and B mapped to these paddles is once again because those 2 are the most natural feeling paddles to press. And so A is my jump and B is my pull-out builds. Those 2 binds are the most crucial binds in Fortnite, and so that's why they're mapped to those paddles. Now out of the 2 remaining paddles, the top left and the top right, the one that's going to be the most comfortable to hit starting off is going to be the top left. The reason is because your right hand is doing all your aiming and jumping at this point, since we mapped the bottom right paddle to that function. So to keep your mind sorted and not worry about like messing with your aim, you want to have your left hand press your 3rd paddle, and so that's where the X comes in, the top left paddle. So that is the second most comfortable position for you to put a paddle. And so for me, that's my edit button. Now when it comes to the upper right paddle, this is where I would put your 4th paddle because it's going to intervene with your aiming, and you got to be really careful with how you select like what bind goes there, because again, it's going to hinder your aim and just alter it to where it feels a little different. And so yeah, there's that. Other than the paddles, I have aggressive sensitivity on the left thumbstick, and I have 0-1 set to my RT and LT, basically making it to where if I press even the slightest bit in on my RT or LT, the bind that's mapped to it is performed. Now with that said, let's get right into the binds. First off, I do want to say all this stuff is unchanged from my old video, my old settings. So if you are interested in going through this, I do that in a separate video. I'll link it right now. So again, the main reason that I changed my binds at all and added this 4th paddle is because the competitive level was rising. It has been rising, it's still rising, and the meta has kind of changed to box fights. So the only button that I hadn't had on a paddle or mapped in a smart fashion was my pickaxe. My pickaxe used to be on Y. What this meant was that I had to move my right thumb off my right thumbstick and go hit Y. And that's such a hindrance because now I can't look around and, be ready to aim and maybe make a shot if I have to. And so this, again, is just not a smart mapping to have it on Y and not on a paddle. So the first thing I wanted to do was get pickaxe on a paddle or on a smarter bind. And so what I kind of found out was, first off, let me give you a little bit of history here. The reload interact function, this used to be on my left thumbstick. So I had 2 options here, right? I could put the pickaxe on the new paddle, which by the way is the upper right paddle, or I can move the reload interact button to the paddle and put the toggle pickaxe on left thumbstick. Well, just thinking about it logically, right? The out of the 2, reload interact, those are not very high stake buttons that I need to be pressing, and in my mind the left thumbstick was the better button, just the more natural button, because you don't have to kind of move your fingers around at all. Your thumb is always on that left thumbstick. And so out of these 2 binds, it was the clear victor of the pickaxe because, again, box fighting has become so competitive and such a core element of the game that you need to be able to switch your pickaxe and mine walls, switch back out of your pickaxe to your gun as fast as possible. And so left thumbstick was the smarter move. Now also on my reload interact button, the same bind, if you go to build controls, I had trap picker, place, and interact. So this is how I actually place traps. And so this was kind of uncomfortable to switch to, but at the end of the day, it makes a lot more sense to have it on Y. Again, the pickaxe takes priority in my opinion, and placing traps and looking around is still a possibility with this paddle. It's just a little bit different learning curve. So now that I had pickaxe on its own button, I moved my reload interact around. And so my next huge challenge was getting my edit binds to not be on the same button, right? So in here, I used to have edit and confirm on the same button, and so this is kind of what everyone did when these custom binds initially came out, and it was pretty smart because it keeps everything simple. However, it's not the most efficient, right? The easiest way that I can explain this is if I come in here and I want to do a ramp and a flat edit, you can see that my X is to edit, right? If my X is to edit, and then I do this, right? I select the edit, and if my X was my confirm button, then in order to do this motion, right, and then hit X again, I have to press X down to confirm. I have to let go of X, then I gotta press X down again to start the next edit. And so that's 3 moves. Compared to if I do it this way, I can edit, and as soon as I hit B to confirm, which is a different button than my initial starting edit, then bam, I'm immediately pressing the next edit and getting that one going. And so if you can time this correctly, then all of a sudden you're going to be able to speed up your edits much more efficiently. So the challenge that I had with picking where to put my confirm button was, first off, you gotta make it feel comfortable, and this is where I kind of get into the element of being smart with my edit and confirm. So first off, what everyone says is to do RT and RB as a controller player because it just feels natural going from RB select and then RT confirm, or vice versa. And some people will actually argue that you can just use your pointer finger for both buttons. I highly disagree with that because you have to like select it, right? If you do this and you select, then I have to stop and like move my finger down in order to like confirm this, right? And so that time of moving my finger down, it just adds an unnecessary hindrance. Whereas if you had it on a button where your fingers are already on, then you could do this much faster. So I think that's just not smart. The other thing that they say is to do that same exact thing, right? Select and confirm on RB, LT, and RT, and then they use their pointer finger for RB and middle finger for RT. I don't like this, once again, because 1, it messes with how my fingers are positioned on my binds on the back of my remote. 2, it's a grip that's not normal, and I like the normal grip. I think it's the safest. I think it's the best way to hold a controller in general, and so that is just something that I wanted to keep normal, and it would be way too hard for me to change my grip, right? So again, I just ruled all that out. It's just not good. I played around with X being edit, which is my upper left paddle, and then I put Y as my confirm, which is my upper right, and so this felt really weird. And I'll tell you why. It's because I'm using 2 different hands to perform this function. Again, this is where I went into the natural feeling that I made a point about at the beginning of the video. You can do this in 2 ways, right? You can have either your left hand and right hand both work together to do this function, or you can make it both on your left hand, right? So my B button is also on my left side paddles. It's my lower left. And so it's, again, X is upper left, B is lower left. It's just a natural flow from X to B, and that's on my left hand, right? And then I have my right hand do all the selecting and aiming. So my left hand is only concerned with beginning the edit and ending the edit. My right hand is concerned with all the aiming mechanics. And so I believe with 4 paddles, this is the most efficient way to edit. Now, some other basic changes that I'll go over is, first off, switch mode. Slash edit is switch to switch mode. My right thumbstick is no longer crouch slash repair. I changed it to 1. It's just crouch. It's always just crouch in the combat controls. However, in here I think it's also crouch, and so when I build, I don't need to be crouching, so I just took that option off in general, and I changed it to change material slash trap. So this is really efficient because, once again, oh, I actually have a trap. That's nice. So if I pull out my traps, right, and I want to cycle through them, I hit my right thumbstick, and I don't have any other traps. I just have the single trap item, so I can't rotate through. But doing so, like, I can look around, I can jump around, and I can always be like rotating through my stuff. I can go to jump pad, do whatever I need to do. Again, I can look around completely and place these traps. No hindrances with that, and so that's a really good option to put on there. So where did I move my repair button to? You can see on the left, I put it on the right on the D-pad. And so let me think about it. The only times that you're actually repairing anything is if you're like stuck inside a 1x1, right? And so at this point, let's say I need to repair this. I can very safely hit the right on my D-pad and repair this wall with no hindrances, right? And so again, I'm safe in my 1x1, so I'm fine with taking my left thumb off my left thumbstick and hitting that right on the D-pad. Now we're almost done here, so nothing's changed as far as inventory and place marker is concerned. Emote picker I think might have been changed, I'm not too sure on that. But so I can repair in my combat controls and my build controls. Now the very last thing that I changed is my reset edit button. So I used to have reset on my right thumbstick. And again, you would think that this is good. However, it's not, because every time I would fail it due to my bad ping or bad timing, then what would happen was I would crouch and then like start my edit, and so the timing would be off and I would end up accidentally crouching basically, and this is a really bad thing to do in the heat of combat. And so a very safe button for me to do this was actually RB, and I was surprised at how comfortable it really was to like change to this, because it's like whenever I do my normal edits, I use my RT one, right? And then anytime I want to reset, I just move my pointer finger up, which is a fine thing to do because I'm not trying to, do this function. I'm trying to just reset. And so it's a very safe function to do. And again, there's no hindrances with doing this, so it's a good button to have it on. Now when we go to the dead zones, nothing's changed here. It's still 0.2 and 0.05, 0.2 being the default, and 0.05 being on my right to basically speed up and make my flicks feel more twitchy, which is a good feeling for me. Also, just so you know, whenever you do go to like get out of this, it's going to tell you you're missing a bind. Just hit decline and you're fine, it'll get you out. The reason it's saying that is because I don't have a sprint button. I'll just explain that right now. There is which you would have seen this if you clicked on the other video, but a sprint by default, turn that on, and so anytime I move my left thumbstick forward, I'm always sprinting basically. So hopefully that was informative for you guys. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. I will be happy to clear something up. I don't know if I went too fast or too slow, but if something's confusing or bothering you, just let me know in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you guys did enjoy, then please do leave a like on the video. It helps out so much. I will love you forever, like literally. It helps out like crazy. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.